The old house, with its peeling wallpaper and creaky floors, whispered secrets of a life once lived with joy. Eleanor stood by the window, her breath fogging the glass as she watched rain patter against the panes. The scent of old books and lemon polish filled the air, a poignant reminder of the days when the house was filled with laughter rather than this heavy silence. She traced her finger along the sill, collecting dust that seemed to represent the time she had lost, the love she had known. The room, once bright with love, now felt like a mausoleum where memories lay entombed. Each object in the house was a silent witness to their shared past. The couch, where they had cuddled through countless movie nights, now bore the weight of her solitude. The kitchen table, where they had shared meals and dreams, was now a place of solitary meals and silent tears. Eleanor's heart ached with each step she took, the floorboards echoing her loneliness. She remembered the day they moved in, how the sun had cast a golden glow over everything, promising a future of happiness. But now, the same sun was hidden behind clouds, mirroring the darkness in her soul. Her eyes caught on the wedding photo, still on the mantel, gathering dust. She could hear the laughter from that day, see the love in their eyes, but now it felt like a mockery. The truth had come as a whisper, a text message not meant for her eyes. The betrayal was like a stone dropped into the still waters of her life, sending ripples that turned into waves, threatening to drown her. She confronted him, her voice calm but her insides a tempest. His silence was all the confirmation she needed. The days that followed were a haze of pain and disbelief. Eleanor moved through the house like a ghost, touching objects that once held meaning but now only reminded her of loss. Friends called, offering words that felt empty, unable to bridge the chasm of betrayal. She found comfort in the garden, where the roses they had planted still bloomed, defiant against the autumn chill. Here, among the flowers, she could breathe, could think, could begin to piece together what was left of her shattered self. In the quiet of the garden, Eleanor made her decision. She would leave this house of memories, this mausoleum of love lost. She started packing. Each item she placed in a box felt like another step towards healing, towards a new beginning. The house seemed to sigh, the walls echoing her resolve. She packed her life away, leaving behind the remnants of what once was. As dawn broke, Eleanor stood in the doorway one last time, the light soft and forgiving, unlike the harshness of truth she had lived with. She looked back at the house, now just a structure, no longer a home. With each step away, she felt lighter, the weight of betrayal lifting, replaced by the promise of new beginnings. She drove off, the house shrinking in her rearview mirror, a symbol of her past life, now just a memory. With the house behind her, Eleanor found herself on the open road, the horizon stretching before her like an unwritten page. The drive was long, each mile a measure of her distance from the pain. She stopped at a small diner, the kind where every patron knew each other's name, but she was a stranger with a story untold. The coffee was bitter, but it was real, grounding her in the here and now, away from the ghosts of her past. She began to rebuild her life, one small step at a time. A new apartment, small and unassuming, but hers alone. The walls were bare, waiting for new memories, new laughter. She started a job at a local library, surrounded by stories of others, each one a reminder that life moves in cycles, that endings are just new beginnings in disguise. Eleanor made friends, cautious at first, but slowly allowing herself to trust again. They shared stories of love, loss, and the in-between, and in those shared moments she found pieces of herself she thought were lost. She learned to laugh again, not the carefree laugh of her youth, but one tempered by wisdom and pain. One evening, at a community book club, she met someone new, someone whose eyes didn't hold the shadows of her past. They talked, and for the first time in a long while, Eleanor felt her heart not as a burden but as a possibility. They shared coffee, books, and eventually, dreams. She didn't rush, didn't forget. but she began to heal, to hope. Yet, the scars of betrayal lingered, a reminder in quiet moments. She sometimes wandered back to the memory of her old house, not with longing but with acknowledgment of the journey she had taken. The love she once knew taught her what she did not want, what she would never settle for again. And in that understanding, Eleanor found strength, found freedom. Time passed, seasons changed, and with them, Eleanor's life transformed. The new apartment was no longer just a space but a home, filled with plants, books, and laughter. Her life was not without its struggles, but she faced them with a resilience she didn't know she possessed. She traveled, not to escape but to experience, to collect stories of the world as she collected books. Each journey was a chapter in her new narrative, each place a marker of her growth. She wrote her own stories now, finding solace in crafting tales that mirrored her journey from darkness to light. Eleanor found love again, not the all-consuming passion of her youth, but a quiet, steady flame that warmed rather than burned. They built something new together, a relationship based on trust and understanding, each learning from the other's past. They danced in their living room, not to forget the past, but to celebrate the present, the now. She never forgot the pain, the betrayal, but she didn't let it define her. Instead, she used it as a foundation, a reminder of how far she had come. She spoke at gatherings, sharing her story not for sympathy but to light the way for others, to show that even from the deepest wounds, one can emerge stronger, wiser, and still capable of love. And so, Eleanor's life continued, not perfect, but beautifully imperfect, a testament to survival, growth, and the endless possibility of new beginnings. The old house was a memory, a chapter closed, but the story of Eleanor was ongoing, vibrant, and filled with the promise of many more pages to come. The years brought changes, not just in scenery, but within Eleanor herself. She embraced her solitude not as a punishment, but as a gift, a time for introspection and growth. Her apartment became a sanctuary, adorned with art she loved, books she had read and reread, and photos of new moments that mattered. Each picture was a step forward, away from the shadow of betrayal. In her community, Eleanor became known not just for her love of literature, but for her ability to listen, to understand. She organized book readings for the elderly, sharing stories that resonated with their own lives, creating a bridge between generations. Through these interactions, she learned more about love, about living, about forgiving oneself and others. One crisp autumn day, she returned to her old town for a book festival. The air was filled with the scent of leaves and anticipation. She walked the familiar streets, feeling a strange mix of nostalgia and detachment. The house was still there, but it was different. New owners had brought it back to life, the garden vibrant, the windows bright. She felt no sorrow, only gratitude for the lessons learned within those walls. At the festival, she met old friends who had heard of her journey. Their eyes held a mix of admiration and curiosity. Eleanor shared her story, not with bitterness, but with the wisdom of someone who had walked through fire and came out the other side. She spoke of her journey as one not just of loss, but of finding oneself again, of building something new from the ashes of the past. That night, under a canopy of stars, she sat with her new partner, sharing stories and silence alike. They spoke of the future, of possibilities. Eleanor realized that love was not a singular event but a series of choices, of moments where one decides to open up, to trust, to love again. She understood that her heart was not a finite resource but could expand, heal, and love in new ways. The next chapter of her life was about exploration, both of the world and of her inner self. She took up painting, finding in colors and strokes a new way to express the complexities of emotions she had once only felt. Each canvas was a conversation with her past, a dialogue with her present, and a promise to her future. She continued her work with the community, now focusing on mentoring young writers, encouraging them to weave their truths into their tales. Eleanor taught them that stories are not just about what happened, but how one rises from it, the beauty in imperfection, and the strength in vulnerability. And so, Eleanor's story continued to unfold, not in the shadow of betrayal, but in the light of self-discovery and renewed love. She had learned that life, like a well-written book, is about the journey, the growth of characters, and the unexpected turns that lead to new chapters. Her life was no longer defined by what she had lost, but by what she had gained through resilience, love, and the endless capacity for new beginnings. As the years passed, Eleanor's life became a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. She had grown into her later years with grace, her hair now fully silver, her face lined with stories of joy and sorrow alike. Her garden had become her pride, a place where she spent many an afternoon, the flowers a living tapestry of her life's journey. One autumn, as the leaves began to fall, signaling change, Eleanor felt a pull to revisit places that once held her heart in different ways. She decided to travel back to the town where the old house stood, but this time, not to mourn what was lost, but to celebrate what she had become. The journey was reflective, each mile a memory, every turn in the road a page of her past. Arriving in town, she found it had changed just as she had. The streets were busier, the shops new, yet there was a comforting familiarity in the air. She walked past the old house, now a vibrant home to another family, the garden full of life. She smiled, feeling no twinge of pain, only gratitude for the journey that started there. Eleanor visited the library where she once worked, now expanded, with new books and faces. She was greeted warmly, her past contributions remembered. She gave a talk there, sharing her story of love, betrayal, and rebirth, inspiring those in the audience to see their own stories as ones of potential and growth. In the town square, under the old oak tree where she and her former love once shared a picnic, she now sat with a new companion by her side. They laughed, sharing stories of their lives, each finding in the other a kindred spirit. This new love was different, built on the solid foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and the sharing of life's simple joys. As evening fell, they wandered to the river that ran through the town, its waters a constant reminder of life's flow, of how time can heal and renew. Eleanor picked up a stone, smooth and cool from the water, and threw it into the river, watching the ripples spread. Each ripple, she mused aloud, is like a choice we make. Some cause small disturbances, others change the landscape of our lives. Her companion, understanding the metaphor, added, and sometimes we must let the river take us where it will, trusting in its path. That night, they returned to her apartment, a place filled with the warmth of her life's new chapter. The walls were adorned with her paintings, each one a splash of color from her soul, a visual diary of her journey from darkness to light. They cooked together, the kitchen filled with laughter and the aroma of a homemade meal, a stark contrast to the silent meals of her past. After dinner, they sat by the fire, Eleanor with her journal, her partner with a book. She wrote about this day, this moment of returning yet moving forward. Life, she wrote, is a series of returns and departures. We come back to places, to memories, but we leave with new insights, new loves, new stories to tell. As she closed her journal, she felt a deep sense of peace. Her life, once marred by betrayal, was now a rich tapestry of experiences, each thread woven with the strength of her spirit, the depth of her love, and the endless capacity for joy. She looked at her partner, their eyes meeting in silent understanding, and they both knew that this was just another beautiful chapter in their ongoing story.